Let's jump right into it.
Let's get right into
it. Well, we already jumped into it. The biggest story right now is Cade York. Guys, this is the most important season of Browns football in forever. Would anybody disagree with that?
Nope. Couldn't agree more.
You have the quarterback that you spent all this money and draft picks on. You put your whole franchise in his hands to some degree. And he, for the first time, will play a full season as a Cleveland Brown. Your coach is in year 4. He's gone backwards since year 1. Your GM's in year 4. He's the one who traded for Watson. He's the one that drafted Cade York. Everything's on the line for everybody. The talent is good or better in every spot except for probably linebacker, where they're adequate. This team has to win now. You absolutely cannot have your kicker cost you games. You know how much I hate the preseason, guys. This has been talked to death. But the only thing one of the only things that matters in the preseason is the kicker. Because when Deshaun Watson plays, if he's playing against backups, it's not telling me much. If Dalvin Tomlinson plays against the backup offensive line, it's not telling me much. It doesn't matter who's playing against Cade York. It doesn't matter. If anything, it's easier because if you lose the game, it doesn't really matter in the preseason like it does in the regular season. And yet, he has been not bad. He's been a disaster in this preseason, guys. And Earl, he has to go.
Listen,
absolutely.
Man, one day I'm going to tell my grandkids that early on in my year, in my career, I spent the first month of August talking about a kicker. Talking about a kicker. Cade York is an absolute disaster, as you said. You know, with this season having so much riding on it, right? I'm not going to bank the Brown season on Cade York's right leg. The fact that you got one job, forget everything else. You got one job to come out here and make kicks. And you have proven to show that you're not capable of doing it when the lights is on and in the big moments. I sat right here on this set 2 episodes ago on Behind the Glass, and I laid out a scenario that we could be in the regular season and we talk all this noise about Deshaun Watson and, will he be able to lead the Browns on game-winning drives? Can he put us in position to win? You trot us down there for a game-tying touchdown, and all we need is the extra point, and he misses it. Or you get us down to a certain point of the field, and he can't even hit a damn 43-yard field goal.
Yeah.
We are not about to bank our entire 2023 season on Cade York's right leg. And the fact that they went this long without no kicking competition, without doing anything to put some heat up under his ass, is total blasphemy to me. And I heard Kevin Stefanski's comments yesterday, and they were totally different from the comments a week ago.
That they were. We'll play them in a second.
Yeah, a week ago was Cade York is our guy. Yeah. This week is, you know what, you're talented. And what that read to me, yeah, you talented, but you going to go be talented elsewhere. Because we got too much on our line, and I fail to believe that Kevin Stefanski is that stupid to put his job in faith of Cade York's right leg. I just don't see it.
Gee, before you go, we got the clip, right?
We do have the soundbite. Kevin Stefanski was asked on Sunday.
Yeah. And remember, Earl's right. Consistently, Kevin Stefanski every week has said, he's our guy. No competition. He's our guy. And then after yesterday's game, here's what he said.
And do you expect him to be the kicker week 1?
Yeah, I think all those type of things, Scott, as you know, we always keep those internal as we get through this week. But I'll reiterate, I think Cade is very, very talented.
Remember also, Cade York was a little short with the media after the game too. G, what do you say?
We also have that clip if you want to hear that as well.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, you want to hear that first?
Cade York,
yeah,
so
go ahead.
Tee it up. Get this off.
This was from Darren Smith. He sent us this, and then we tweeted it out.
Man.
Steve, you can take it.
You talked a lot about the way you kick during practice, and we've seen it in practice. How frustrating is it that that's not carrying over? How much of you I know you have probably, but how much of you kind of try to self-diagnose why that's not carrying over?
Like I said, it's been super frustrating, and I watch film and I work on in practice, and it looks great in practice. So it's been plenty of self-diagnosing. So
how much did you want that? Want that opportunity?
Come on, man. That's like 6 questions. Of course, I freaking want to put it through. That's enough, dude.
So pressure bust pipes. He answered the questions in a way, shape, or form that he plays the game, which is emotional. You can't be emotional and be a kicker. Like, he should have just said in that clip, you know what, listen, it's not good enough. I've been missing kicks. I've been working hard in practice. Been trying to stick to what I'm trying to do in my mechanics. Been working with Coach Ventrone, but it's just not good enough. It's a make or miss league, and I'm missing right now, and I can't put my team in that situation. People will look at you a little bit different, but I think it goes to this: the Cleveland Browns have to understand that as an organization, it's not about for so long we've been building towards something and trying to find pieces of parts and trying to build a culture and ways of winning. But we got to understand that there's levels to it. And when you step up to the next level and you are a contender, when you have the quarterback, when you have all the other pieces of parts around you, you have to start operating like contenders. And look at what the San Francisco 49ers did. San Francisco spent 2 first-round picks to go get Trey Lance. One thing that I commend the 49ers is saying this. Trey Lance didn't even really have an opportunity to play. He was injured the first year. He broke his ankle, messed up his finger the first year, and he was all out all last year. Brock Purdy came in and played well. And you know what I give him? I give him credit for saying, you know what, we reached on the third overall pick, and we was wrong on that. Let's get him out of here. We're going with Brock Purdy. We'll move him to Dallas. What that says is I'm not going to wait too long for Trey Lance to cause me to lose football games in order to validate that I made the right or wrong decision. You have all of the data in front of you with Cade York. You've had last year. You've had all the training camp. He had no pressure on him. They didn't bring nobody in to like push him or move him, and as a veteran. You see what it is now. He does not have it. The emotional and mental psyche of what it is, he don't have it. And for me, I can't look at Nick Chubb or Myles Garrett or Joe Bitonio and guys putting their body on the line. Hey, Marquise Goodwin is trying to come back for blood clots. And these guys are putting their careers, their bodies on the line, trying to win football games. And I'll be damned if I throw that and sacrifice all that because you spent a 4th round on a kicker.
I don't give a shit where you drafted him.
Yeah.
I don't care. It doesn't matter. Okay, Andrew Berry, you made a mistake. That's fine. We all screw up. The greatest GMs in the history of sports F up plenty of times. It's okay. What's worse is not admitting that mistake and moving on. There's a kicker out there. His name is Robbie Gould. He's extremely clutch. Do you know how many field goals Robbie Gould has missed in his career in the playoffs? You know how many?
I don't know.
Probably 0.
I'm going to guess 1.
Zero.
Zero.
You know how many extra points he's missed in the playoffs in his career? 0.
Wow.
I think he's what is he? And he's been around forever. So he is 39 for 39 in extra points in the playoffs. He is 29 for 29 in field goals in the playoffs, including last year with the Niners, where he was 8 for 8 in the playoffs. Why is he still out there? I was reading this morning that he wants a lot of money for a kicker.
Who cares?
The Browns have the most cap space in the league. So I don't care if it costs $10,000. Pay this freaking guy. His career field goal percentage is about 87%. Last year he was 85%. Made all his 50-yard field goals. Made all his playoff field goals. Sign him now. What the hell are we? Cross out the rest of the list. There's only one guy. It's Robbie Gould. He's been an excellent kicker in his career. He is clutch. He's a veteran, but not too old. To me, it's a no-brainer. Absolute no-brainer.
He should be, from what you said, he should be on the phone with him today.
100%. They should have already signed him.
I mean, to your point,
Yeah.
we talk about the Browns having all this cap space. We talk about 2023 being the
Yeah.
most important season for this
Yeah.
regime, right? If you got the cap space and you need a kicker, a guy that's clutch,
Yeah.
who gives a damn what it costs?
I don't care.
You're trying to go win the Super Bowl now. But the one thing that really pissed me off about how Cade York handled himself, right? You got to understand something, Mr. York. You're a kicker. If you make your kicks, they're not even coming to talk to you anyway.
That's right.
That's something for you to think about. I jokingly said on Behind the Glass, man, do kickers even get a playbook?
Right.
It comes down to this. You got one job, right? We talk about all these pressure situations that he was in at LSU and kicking a game winner in the swamp down in Florida when the weather was crazy. All that's cool. But sometimes what you do in college, even for a kicker, don't translate to the NFL. And when you're in the NFL, what you do in practice, sometimes don't translate to the games. It's all about what you do when the lights come on and then what you do in clutch moments, right? We've seen this preseason alone, him go 3 for 3 and then get opportunities for a go-ahead field goal and miss one wide to the left, one wide to the right. I am so glad that that scenario worked out the way it did against Kansas City, because we all needed to see that.
Yeah.
We all needed to see what you was going to do when it was a pressure moment.
And he blew it again.
I don't give a damn about
Yeah.
you being 36 for 36 in training camp and
Who
in practice.
cares?
It doesn't matter. You're 50% in a preseason,
Yeah.
and that is god awful for a kicker. That is totally
Yeah.
unacceptable.
And in terms of the one quick point, Mike, because I want to follow up with something Earl said before you go. Earl's right. Like, there's been a lot of good college kickers that, for whatever reason, are not good in the pros. If you look at most of the kickers that have been drafted in recent years, outside of Evan McPherson of the Bengals, most of them have been
That's
flops.
it. Yeah.
That Rodrigo Blankenship, who's on that list,
Yep.
he stunk. That Zane Gonzalez got drafted. He's cut. What's his name? The other,
So about the guy from Tampa Bay that they
Tampa
took,
Bay.
they took like in the first and
I think he's
second
out
round
of the
or
league
something like
already.
that. Yeah.
You know, I mean, even Mike Nugent, who was ended up being around
right,
a long time,
right.
he wasn't worth where he was drafted. They blew it. It's fine. Move on. Let's go. Go ahead, Mike.
One point I want to make on the York thing. Kicking more than maybe any other position in football outside of quarterback is as close to a 50-50 mental physical battle as anything else. It's you, the football, the upright, and the 70,000 people watching. His mental, Cade York's mental side of things, clearly broken.
Yeah.
On the physical side of things, with the extra point that he missed that then got negated,
Yeah.
he shanked that. He kicked that. Joe Thomas called it a helicopter kick.
Yeah.
I'm not a kicking expert. I know when someone who like Joe Thomas who knows football calls it a helicopter, that's not good.
No.
On the field goal that got blocked, the potential game winner, that trajectory was like 7 feet off the ground.
Yeah.
The kicks itself, if it didn't get blocked, was not going anywhere near the uprights. So not you could tell me, well, it was blocked, he slipped, whatever. I don't want to hear about the holder. I don't want to hear any excuses.
Oh, stop with
we
the
have gotten
holder
so
already.
soft, and I say we as people, not necessarily us, but just people in the Twitter sphere now. When I say we, it turns into a lot of just social media. Made so many excuses for Cade York, and I do feel kind of bad for the guy.
Why?
See,
Because it's got to be tough. It's got to be tough to have everyone
No.
tear you down. But that's what comes with the
I don't
position.
feel bad for him.
That's what I feel bad for Anthony
no,
Schwartz too.
no,
but real
no,
quick,
no.
you just
Business,
you can't
man.
make excuses for these guys. And
Stop
we have
with the
become so
excuses.
accustomed to excuses. He missed the kicks.
Yeah,
it got
that's it.
blocked. It was gonna go
I'm
10
sick
feet
of blaming.
right.
Stop blaming the punter. The punter's actually good at his job. He's
Yeah.
actually a good punter. Go ahead, G. You were pissed off about that. Stop with this feeling sorry stuff.
Because here's the thing about Twitter, man.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, and I don't never want to say that. There's a lot of people that ain't never done nothing physical in their life. There's a lot of people who sat on the sidelines and just watched. They didn't do
Yeah.
anything. The reason that is important is because you know why they run and condition you and wake you up at 5 a.m? Because they get all of that up out of you. All that excuse stuff. When you running at 5 a.m. and you're throwing up in the trash can and then you got to lift and you got to do all these gymnastics and you're running them suicides or sprints or whatever the coach have you do, they make you do that because it get all of that extra softness out of your stomach and your chest being like, oh, it was this person's fault or this. No, listen, say it's somebody else's fault again. You're going to get back on the line.
That's
and
right.
until you question whether or not you're going to die on the field or not, then you don't understand that we don't make excuses. It's not the holder. We've had Dave Zastadil come on here on Twitter,
Yeah.
who played All-American for the OU Bobcats, played for the Browns, one of the best punters for the Ravens. Dave Zastadil came on here and said, listen, it's not the whole, I'm looking at it. Guess what? I did this for a living. And the problem with Twitter is people think that their opinion is the same as pros' opinions. Yours is not. You're entitled to it, but no one liked that comment. No one cares what you think. Can I go to NASA and be like, you know what? I know why Challenger blew up. I read the documentary, so I get to know.
Can I go to a doctor and say how a Well, okay.
Yeah,
Earl, go ahead.
But it's so funny because I don't know what McNuggets is talking about. I
Yeah.
don't feel sorry for him. Somebody tweeted at me, and the first thing I said when
Yeah.
I read it, you lucky you tweeted me and not Bull. The guy tweeted me and said that I was being too hard on Cade York.
Oh.
And if he misses a game-winning field goal versus Cincinnati in Week 1, okay, cool. That's when you move on.
He tweeted at me the same thing, Earl.
Yeah, and I
was
sat there
you're
are
absurd.
you
Absurd.
serious right now? Some people make so many excuses for people. Listen, man, life happens and whatever. Second chances in life, I told you before. That's different. But this is a business.
Yeah.
This is pro sports. And for the love of God, you're a damn kicker.
That's right.
Get your stuff together.
That's it.
So for some of these fans, I feel like they've seen nothing but, average or above average from the Cleveland Browns. they're okay with just being
they haven't.
okay.
What do you mean? They've seen mostly losing.
Well, mostly, but
Yeah.
there's so many people that's just okay with being mediocre. It's so many people that's okay with just being okay. And it's like, how can you wrap your mind around that you got a talented team and how important this year is? And you mean to tell me
One guy.
You mean to tell me that you're willing to see Cade York miss a game-winning field goal against a division rival before you're willing to move on, not realizing that 3-point loss against Cincinnati can make a huge difference if the Browns make the playoffs or win the division come week 18?
Yeah.
It makes no sense at all.
No sense at all. Couple of things here. First of all,
only because Earl says about me, can I clarify something real
go
quick?
ahead.
I don't feel bad for Cade York, the player. He's brought this on himself. I feel bad for any person who becomes the center of an entire tirade like that. So Cade York, the person, I do for the player.
Okay. Yeah,
he's
I don't
brought
give
this completely on himself.
Yeah, I don't give a shit about Cade York. I don't care. I have no sympathy for him whatsoever, okay? If I was as bad at my job as he was, I wouldn't be here for doing this for 20-something years, okay? So suck it up, pal. Don't get all annoyed. It's a loser excuses are for losers, G. You know that. That's what you just said. That's what you said. I'm going to say it in a meaner way. Excuses are for losers. And that's what we've been doing in this town, and that's to Earl's point. He's like, we're used to mediocrity. We're so used to shit football in this town that mediocrity looks good. Yep. That's why, I know some people are going to roll their eyes here, but that's why so many people were scared to move on from Baker. Mm-hmm. Because for 20 years, every quarterback here was horrible. And when you got mediocrity, or even, and to be fair to Baker, for 1 year, you got better than mediocrity. You got pretty good. That everyone's like, I don't want to mess with that. It's just like in this town, we see this all the time at the trade deadline for all our teams. Like, don't mess with, if they're playing well, don't mess with the team.
Don't mess with the chemistry.
Don't mess with the team. No, good teams go for it. Good teams, when they're in, they push further in and further in and further in. Pause. Can you pause yourself?
Thank you. Yes.
Can you pause yourself?
Yes.
Yeah, you
yes.
can definitely
Okay.
pause
Good job
yourself.
out of you.
So that's the thing. You can't wait, as this guy said to Earl, till they blow a game.
Till they lose
Because
games?
I was thinking, if Cade York played any other position, I could leave him on the bench.
Yeah.
Right? I got 5 linebackers. I got 6 defensive ends.
Can you
I got
practice
whatever.
squad a kicker?
Yes.
I could leave him on the bench if he played another position.
By the way,
I can't do it. I can't let him cost me a game.
By the way, Daryl Ryder said this.
Yeah.
He said this. So they're like, what do you do? Daryl said, well, look, they may not cut him to the very last part of the cuts, right? So that gives them an opportunity to say, okay, well, no one's going to pick him up because he's been playing horrible off the waiver wire. So we're going to be able to claim him and put him back on the practice squad.
I think that's fine, but I don't think they have to wait. Who would pick him up right now?
Yeah, they don't.
Nobody.
I mean, the only thing I can think of is maybe like a really bad team that sees potential in him that they don't care about winning. Maybe that would happen. But like if it happens, it happens. Who cares?
Think about who's the running back that fumbled the ball twice?
Steven,
Yeah.
you talking about Jordan Wilkins?
Jordan Wilkins.
He's
yeah.
done.
He's out. See ya.
He's done.
Yeah.
Did you see when Deshaun Watson did this?
Yeah, that's see ya.
That was
your job.
when the quarterback's hand goes up like this.
Yeah, that's Jordan Wilkins' career. I hate to be
done.
harsh, but his career just went up in smoke.
And they took him right out that game.
Yeah.
Now, why is that being too harsh? Now, he had 2 fumbles.
Yeah.
That was 2 plays that cost him his job.
Yeah.
I didn't see 10, 15 missed kicks for Cade York.
It's enough. It's enough. We've seen enough. And you know what? Yeah, is it possible he ends up going somewhere else and being good?
Sure.
Of course it's possible. You can't make decisions based on what might happen. Right now, Browns need to win. They cannot, going back to the Cincinnati example, let's say it's 24-23 Bengals with 3 seconds left in the game and Cade York steps out there to kick. Is there anybody that believes that is confident that he will make that kick?
No.
I got zero confidence.
And there's no way they can believe that.
And if he misses, this is how warped your mind is.
Yeah.
Once he misses that kick, people will then come around and say,
Right.
oh, it's now time for him to go.
Yeah.
But for the other 52 guys in the locker room, they are looking at Kevin Stefanski as a leadership. And your credibility is on the line.
Yes.
If you put one guy who is a kicker above 52 other guys, then we have to think about getting rid of you. Because you had an opportunity. You had an opportunity to do something about it.
Gee, he didn't say it, but he definitely backed off his comments from a week ago.
He did.
When they asked him, is Cade York your kicker week 1? He said those things stay internal. He said, but I think Cade York is talented.
I think he's gone.
He's gone.
I don't think there's any way. I hope I'm right. I know we all hope I'm right. We're all right. I don't think he would have not answered that question if Cade York was going to be
Kevin
the kicker.
Stefanski And to his credit, gives
Yeah.
the media nothing. Zach Jackson put it perfectly on Twitter. Kevin Stefanski refuses to acknowledge that it's 11:40 on a Wednesday when it's 11:40 on Wednesday and he's
Right.
answering his press conference questions. The fact that he even said something, it was a non-answer, but he said something about Cade York, should have told you everything you
Yeah, I
needed
mean,
to know.
they're just figuring out who they're going to bring in. But to me, it's a no-brainer. I don't know why you'd want anybody but Robbie Gould.
The thing with Robbie Gould, and I don't know if you saw this, both of San Francisco's kickers got injured in the last preseason.
Well, that's
game
why you
this
got to
weekend.
offer him a lot of money.
I know.
That I was reading that Robbie Gould is not with somebody because the guy made 8 for 8 in the playoffs last year.
Yeah, he did.
I know he's older, but it's not like he's 42. I think he's 38. So, like, the reason he's not on a team, I was reading, and I can't remember where I read it, but it was that he wants more money. He's worth it.
Yes.
Go sign him.
Well, sometimes when you're in the grocery store, you got items that's worth the money. Don't go in there. Don't go in there skimping on meat. Pause.
That's right.
Don't go in there getting shavings. You getting that little skirt steak and then
Yeah.
wonder why it's hard as a hockey puck.
good.
Stop
It's true.
skimping. Go get you
You
something.
know
get
why
what you pay for.
I believe he's the guy, and it's just dawned on me. There was a couple seasons he kicked in Chicago.
Yes.
So you've kicked in the Midwest. You've kicked where, I mean, that's
Right.
the windy city.
Well, and even San Francisco is windy. I know it's West Coast, but it's windy.
It's like, okay, you've kicked in the Midwest. You've kicked in Chicago.
Yeah.
You've kicked in San Francisco where
Yeah.
it gets windy. So
Yeah.
this is a dude who has proven over the course of his career that the elements don't mean anything. And I'm pretty sure, I would love to know the numbers, but I'm pretty sure he's kicked in Cleveland Brown Stadium before.
Probably.
And I would love to see what his numbers is inside of Cleveland Brown Stadium.
But Earl, remember we was doing a
I'm
barber.
on it, Earl. Hold on.
Remember we was
I'm
doing
gonna
a
find it
barbershop
before you,
on
Mike.
Saturday. Earl was producing on the barbershop and we were on the radio. And the guy called in and he said, "G. Bush,
Yeah, he did.
Let me ask you a question. Why is that kicker even in Berea in the dome? Why aren't they practicing at First Energy or Cleveland Brown Stadium?" And it hit me. I said, "That's a great question. If you are kicking outside, if you are kicking and you need to get to know the lay of the land," and Phil Dawson's talked about reading the flagpoles and all this stuff, why are you even showing up at practice in Berea? You should be at Brown
got it.
Stadium doing what you need to do, kicking permanently. We don't even need to see you.
Boy, got the numbers?
Oddly enough, Robbie Gould's worst field goal percentage is versus the Browns. Now, I don't know if it's home or road. It doesn't break it up that way. But he's 6 of 10 kicking field goals against the Browns. But I don't know if those are in
Cleveland or not.
That's 60%. It's the only team he is at 60%. And he's made 16 of 17 extra points against the Browns, oddly enough.
Let me ask you all this.
Yeah.
How much of this is an indictment on Bubba Ventrone? Because we raved about
None for me.
But it might not
Yeah.
be. But I'm just throwing this out there because it's just a thought. You know, we've raved about Bubba Ventrone taking over
Yeah.
as special teams coordinator. And safe to say, again, preseason can't take too much from it. But of all the units, the special teams unit collectively has been the worst. And I'm wondering, like, how much one-on-one did him and Cade York have about his mechanics? And it could be sometimes, man, you can coach a guy up, you can give a guy all the tools. Sometimes they just can't fix the car. That's just
I
what
don't think
it
it's
is.
Bubba Ventrone at all. The guy's just not making kicks. You can't, like, he's not a kicker. Bubba Ventrone's not a kicker.
So what can you tell him about it?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
you know,
and I mean, it's just a thought as the head guy on special teams.
Yeah.
How much time have you personally spent with Cade York?
I blame the special teams coach for the return guys, for the coverage, for onside kicks that fail, stuff like that. I'm not blaming him for the kicker sucking.
Bull, we go back
Yeah.
to that documentary. We watch the quarterback's documentary on
Yeah.
Netflix. But if you haven't seen it, just go watch it. And one of the things I'm going to pick out there is when Patrick Mahomes is at the facility, he's doing everything that other quarterbacks do. After he leaves there,
Yeah.
he's going to do high-intensity workouts to train special parts of his game. You think Patrick Mahomes throws sidearm just because he can? No, he works on that. His flexibility.
It's amazing.
He's doing all of this fast,
Yeah.
full speed with his independent contracted coach. So my thing is, why aren't the kickers with independent coaches all year? Why haven't these teams, the only full-time kicking coordinator or kicking coach that they have, ironically, is for the best kicker with
Ravens,
the
yeah.
Ravens? Why do you?
I don't get that.
Why don't you
Yeah.
have gurus, science? If you're talking about the ball is coming off his foot, looking like a helicopter, that's all about physics. That's trajectory. That's how hard you kick it. That's velocity. Those are all different things that you can get science-type guys to come in and work with them all year.
Yeah, I don't understand why teams don't, besides the Ravens, as you say, don't have a specific kicking coach. The special teams coaches are never kickers.
No.
Never, that I can ever remember. So what can Bubba Ventrone teach Cade York about kicking? I mean, that's not...
It's like
And,
getting
and
mad.
it's probably nothing. Again, it was just a
Yeah.
thought. It's not
No, I
even something
know.
that I believe. It
Yeah.
was just a thought.
No,
But
I get it. But to his point, I'm saying, why don't you hire a kicking coach
and
specifically?
to your point, teams in the NFL mimic everything that everybody else do. You mimic
Right.
RPOs. You mimic all these different defensive fronts.
Yeah.
You mimic everything
Yeah.
else. And if I'm every team in the NFL and I look at Justin Tucker and I look at the Baltimore Ravens, knowing that this man has a kicking coordinator or a kicking coach and he's the best kicker in the NFL, if I'm every other team, okay, let me copy and paste this just like I copy and paste everything else.
I don't know if they get it. Maybe because everything the kicker does is proprietary knowledge. Like Phil Dawson and all these guys, this is just trial and error. They learn it, they do it. But I really feel like there should be some repetition and some stuff that you can look at that basically helps you get better. Yeah. So we'll see what happens. But the best point of this, as we wrap it up, is Robbie Gould should be the guy in camp.
No doubt.
On the phone right now.
No, and you're right. The Niners are probably calling him too. So the Browns can't mess around. If
Yeah.
I'm the Browns, I'm saying to Robbie Gould, what's it going to take to get you here? You want $10 million? Welcome aboard. Mikey.
2 things in a super chat. Earl, I did mention on Behind the Glass that there were some other special teams issues that I did think you could look at Ventrone with, but as far as the actual kick itself, that'd be like us getting mad at AVP because Deshaun Watson overthrows a deep ball or something.
Right.
He helps, but that's not necessarily on him. I got
That's
2
fair.
super chats to read here real quick. And whenever we read you guys' super chats, it's brought to us by our dear friends at PCC Airfoils. If you're looking for a job with career advancement and great benefits, well, PCC Airfoils is a leading manufacturer in Northeast Ohio. All locations of PCC Airfoils in Eastlake, Menor, Wickliffe, and Minerva are hiring for all positions starting at $18 and up, plus full benefit packages, paid time off, and a signing bonus. You can apply online at precast.com/careers to learn more. We have damn near 2,000 people live watching right now. That is phenomenal.
Salute to
and
y'all.
we have 2 super chats on Cade York that show the yin and the yang of how Browns fans feel about number 3. First comes from Professor Chaos. I'm sorry, guys. I would still ride with Cade York. And then Kenny Moss says, York was so bad that KC was rubbing it in our faces by having their safety kick it in.
Oh wow, that's facts. I remember that.
Yeah.
See, I don't do well with that. I would have went in and tore up the locker room. That kind of stuff like that, because I would be so mad as a player.
I guess I want to know why the guy would like to keep Cade York, but that's the type of stuff that we're talking about here, right? Like, what reason would you want to keep him? Because he was a 4th round pick, because he's young, because he has all this potential.
I mean,
potential is a bunch of stuff that you haven't done yet. This team is ready made to try to go win a Super Bowl right now, and you want to hold on to a kicker for what reason? What reason?
It's hard to believe we're here after he made that game-winning 58-yard field goal the first week against Carolina last year. But it's been
less
mostly
than
downhill
365 days.
Missed 8 of his last 24 field goals last year. Has been a disaster in the preseason. You can't wait on him. It's time to move on.